Patti Adkins packs a sexy new nightie in her overnight bag and then heads to the auto plant for her final shift before what she thinks will be a romantic vacation with a coworker.
She was last seen clocking out of the auto plant at 19 seconds after midnight.
19 seconds after the witching hour, Patti rushes to the parking lot. She doesn't want anyone to see her drive off with her secret boyfriend.
They were going to go to Canada.
She climbs into the bed of his pickup truck and hides underneath a roll-up cover.
Patti, what are you doing? You know better.
The truck speeds away into the darkness of the midsummer night, and Patti is never seen again.
It's like she disappeared.
Now Patti's family is left to ask the horrifying questions. Did she vanish to start a new life?
She wasn't going to Canada to leave us forever.
Or was she murdered? The mystery of the missing single mom casts a dark cloud over Marysville, Ohio, a small town with planes, trains, and automobiles, as in car factories. This is where Patti went to work after high school, working as a shift supervisor for the local Honda manufacturing plant.
She was stunning, your sister.
Yes, she was.
How would you describe your relationship with your sister?
Very close, especially as adults. My sister and I were only a year apart, so she only lived 30 minutes away when she lived in Marysville, so we talked on a regular basis.
So tell me about Patti as a mom.
Patti was a very good mom, loving mom. She loved McKaylee with all her heart, doted on that little girl like nothing else.
And who wouldn't dote on a girl as adorable as McKaylee, now an adult studying for her PhD in behavioral neuroscience?
McKaylee's a cute name. Do you know the origins of McKaylee, why you were named McKaylee?
There was a bar in Marion called McKaylee.
So you were named after a bar?
Mm-hmm.
Gotta love your mom.
Yeah.
And it seemed everyone at the Honda plant loved Patti, who was up for a big promotion.
We were actually working side by side.
Colleague and best friend Heidi Knight says Patti had a thing for one particular guy on the assembly line.
Because you worked there, you knew him as well.
Right, I knew of him because he didn't work too far from where I was at. In the beginning, they were just really close friends. They played cards together, they worked in the same area. I could tell that it was becoming more than just friends.
What did she like about him?
Very outdoorsy, and as was she. She liked the outdoors.
When did you first hear about someone special in her life?
Probably it was around Thanksgiving of 2000 that I remember having a conversation with her.
And what did she say?
She was just talking about the fact that she actually had an interest in somebody from work that worked the same shift that she did.
But there was just one problem with Patti's new squeeze from the night shift.
He was married.
Married, with children.
She was hesitant to tell me about that because she knew I wouldn't approve of that. But, you know, she really liked talking with him and he understood her.
Was she in love with him? Did she want there to be more to this relationship?
Yes, I mean, she spoke of, like, you know, that she felt like she was connected to him. She wanted to maybe move away from Marysville, live out in the country, have more kids. So I think she definitely foresaw a future with him. But she did say that his wife couldn't know about her, whatever, that she knew who Patti was. She knew who she was from work. And that's why I don't think they did see each other outside of work or anything. There weren't like meetings and anything clandestine going on outside, other than that she would go to his shop maybe to get her car worked on.
Marcia says the auto repair shop was the boyfriend's side business, and she says that business prompted Patti to start loaning him money so he could eventually divorce his wife.
The whole reason that she started loaning him money was so that the reason he said he wouldn't leave is because of his business and he would lose everything. She would get half of that, so he wanted to buy it out.
When she told you that she was giving him money, what was your reaction?
Well, my reaction to all of it was not great. But she was sure that this was just preparing for their future.
How much money did she give him, and did she give it to him in cash, in checks? How did it?
So cash, everything was cash, about $90,000, maybe a little more.
90 grand, a lot of coin for a single mom to buy her boyfriend's freedom. But Patti was love-struck, and her sister says she excitedly talked about her very first getaway with her lover at a cabin in Canada.
He knew this little place that they were going to go, and it was going to be a remote area.
She was excited because she was finally getting away with her love.
Yes, yes. And like I said, they didn't really spend time together outside of work or anything like that. So it was sort of the opportunity to all the things that she'd been sacrificing for, you know, waiting, that actually everything was coming to fruition.
So before work, Patti put her cats in the kennel and arranged for McKaylee to be taken care of.
Where was McKaylee?
I had McKaylee. Yes, I got her in the middle of the week. She was with her dad from the start of shutdown to the middle of the week, and I had her from the middle of the week till Sunday.
But the boyfriend apparently carpooled with another guy, so Patti described a plan that sounded like it could come from a spy movie. She would jump into the back of the pickup truck, hide under the cover, so the boyfriend's buddy wouldn't see her. Then, after he was dropped off, she would get into the passenger seat and be whisked away to the cabin.
Do you cringe when you envision your sister climbing into the back of that pickup truck and hiding?
Yes, I do. I really, really do. Because you just want to shake her and say, Patti, what are you doing? You know better.
Does any of this plan, when you look at it now, the fact she had to hide in the back of the truck, that she wasn't supposed to bring clothes, they were going to buy it, they were going to a place where they wouldn't be able to communicate, it's like the perfect setup.
Yes, it was. It was too perfect.
Patti Adkins thought the married man she fell for was the one, even though she was number two.
She had mentioned that his marriage wasn't what he had dreamt it was going to be. She believed that she was going to have a relationship with him after he left his wife, that she was happy, and that's what she wanted.
So when Patti revealed a clandestine plan to hide in his pickup truck so they could secretly leave work and get away for a week alone in a remote cabin, her sister Marcia was skeptical.
When you found that out, what's your opinion of this?
If at that point he was supposed to be leaving his wife, why did she still need to hide? She told me how much she trusted him. She said to me he would never harm a hair on my head.
When Patti didn't return in time to attend a family barbecue, her sisters feared the worst.
What time was she supposed to arrive?
They were supposed to get back late Saturday night, so I started calling her house late morning. Probably called 100 times, I think, numerous times, left voicemails on her answering machine.
The later it got, the more you called.
Yes.
So it's Sunday night. She hasn't arrived.
Late afternoon, I think, is when I started calling his house.
His house, the house where Patti's secret lover lived. He moonlighted as an auto mechanic.
Posed myself as being a potential customer, and his wife had said he wasn't home.
So did that make you think?
Well, it made me think they just weren't back.
The minutes turned into hours, and the hours turned into horrible thoughts for Marcia. So she called again, and this time, he answered.
So you finally get him on the phone?
I did. I had spoke to him, and he basically denied knowing my sister. And he goes, Patti? Oh, Patti? Just like he didn't know who she was. Because I said, you know, I've never met you, I've never spoken to you, but I'm Patti's sister, you know, and I know you're supposed to go away. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. When I got off the phone, I called my brother, and I told him that she's dead.
What?
I knew. Or when the minute that man said he denied knowing my sister, that she was dead.
Now in full panic mode, Marcia and Patti's BFF Heidi Knight from the auto plant go to her house looking for clues.
We had found actually like bands from money that she had in her closet that it would be like $100 and stacks of money.
Was it money or just the band?
Just the bands. So when I found out, my thought was, oh my God, he has killed her.
Little did her sister know, Patti had been lending money to her lover. Those bands presumably wrapped the wads of cash, an estimated 90 grand.
That's a crazy amount of money.
It's a lot of money.
I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, yes, Patti was a good saver and had money, but she started getting into trouble herself as far as, I mean, when you have to take out a second mortgage or you've got to take loans out against yourself to give it to your boyfriend, that's now becoming kind of desperate.
Absolutely. She was financially sound from what the friends and her sister and family said. She was financially sound up until the point she started giving this money to her boyfriend.
After the house search, Marcia says she called the boyfriend again in the middle of the night and asked him point blank, "Did you kill Patti?"
His wife answered the phone.
Well, what did they say?
Well, he was like, well, what do you mean? Like, no, I mean, you know, we just worked together. And the wife was asking why I thought that he had murdered her and what supposedly was supposed to happen.
But did you say to the wife, your husband and my sister were about to take off and he's leaving you? Did you say that to the wife?
Yeah, I said that that's what they were supposed to go to Canada. She's been giving him money. They're supposed, you know, he's supposed to be buying out this business.
But was she calm?
Yeah, they were both calm.
If you call me at 3 in the morning and I don't know what's going on and you tell me that my husband had a plan to run away with a coworker and that she's been giving him money and that he's leaving me, I'd be pretty upset.
Yes, you would think.
Despite their steadfast denials, it seems others at the plant did know about the affair.
More people knew about their relationship than I think even she was aware of. People that worked with her would see that they were obviously growing close and knew that they spent time together and that they did talk all the time and knew that there was something more there.
So for him to say that there never was an affair is a lie.
Right. Oh, definite lie.
The alleged lies, the money bans, a missing sister, all signs that are flashing red for Marcia. So she called the Union County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Jamie Patton was the chief investigator at the time.
And there's been no trace of her, like no credit cards, no cell phones.
No activity whatsoever.
Isn't that kind of weird?
Very, very much. We believe that she did not go missing on her own free will.
And detectives were about to discover why that seemed to be the case. The last time Patti was seen alive, she clocked out of work at just after midnight. Detective Jeff Stiers tells me that when Patti climbed into the bed of the pickup truck, she left behind a huge clue.
We don't even know if she left the parking lot. We assume she did. We found evidence in the back of the truck underneath the tonneau cover. That evidence that we found were her cat hairs from her cats.
But her cats were not inside the truck, right?
Her cats were not inside the truck.
So how'd the cat hair get on there?
Well, if you remember, prior to going to Honda that day, they took the animals to the kennel. The cat hairs would have been on Patti and on the bag that she took with her.
And you know conclusively that those cat hairs belong to Patti's cat and Patti's cat only.
The results from the lab state that, yes.
You heard right. Cat DNA ties Patti to the boyfriend's truck bed.
What else did you find in the vehicle? Did you find any blood evidence?
The only thing that we're confirming to the public is that the cat hair was confirmed to be Patti's. The additional evidence that has been processed, we're not revealing any of the results of that at this point.
But prosecutor David Phillips is.
There was a small amount of blood. As far as evidence of a homicide, no.
Will you tell us much more about the blood, whose blood it was? What does it indicate?
At this point, we're not releasing that information.
Is it an important part of the investigation?
It's obviously a fact.
So what's the bottom line? Who is the person of interest?
We keep coming back to the fact that this individual's name keeps coming up that makes him a person of interest and someone we're very interested in.
And to be clear, the person you are making a reference to as a person of interest is the man she called her boyfriend.
Yes.
What do you think happened to Patti?
I think she was murdered.
Patti Adkins has been missing ever since the moment she climbed into the bed of her secret lover's pickup truck.
When you think about how happy she was in that moment, about what she thought she was going into, and then you juxtapose that with what likely happened to her.
That's hard. That's really hard because I do think she was sincerely happy.
The family had Patti declared legally dead. They now speak of her in the past tense.
She had an infectious laugh, and that's probably what I miss most about her, is because I can't remember the sound of her laugh anymore. It's It's gone. I can see her face. I can picture her smile. I think I've lost the sound of her laugh, and I miss that.
Patti's sisters, her daughter McKaylee, the Union County Sheriff, and the prosecutor all believe her married boyfriend possibly had something to do with her disappearance.
Is this a homicide or a missing persons case?
This is a homicide case.
How did it change from missing persons to homicide?
Patti Adkins has been gone for a substantial period of time. The fact that she had a daughter, the fact that she had appointments, the fact that she had pets and boarded those pets, the fact that she was in line for a promotion at her work, that doesn't appear to be a person that would just disappear.
And the boyfriend is the only person of interest.
So you believe Patti was murdered?
Until we learn otherwise, yes, that's how we're looking at the case.
Do you think he killed her?
I believe he had something to do with it. We're still looking for that missing piece in the puzzle that will help make this case.
So to try and find that elusive puzzle piece, investigators searched the boyfriend's property using cadaver dogs.
He voluntarily gave consent. The cadaver dog did indicate in an area outside of a barn addition that he was adding on to his body shop. There was some excess concrete that was poured outside of that barn addition.
Fresh concrete?
Yeah, it was fresh concrete. It was excess after he poured the posts. It was left on the concrete truck is what he told us. And we brought in a backhoe and dug that whole area. We did not locate anything.
Detectives say they did, however, find gifts that Patti reportedly gave him.
What kind of gifts are we talking about?
A Harley-Davidson phone. She had purchased while she was on vacation. We also found a Hard Rock Cafe t-shirt. His wife at the time had stated that she had no idea where this Hard Rock Cafe t-shirt came from.
Patti's sister Janine told investigators she witnessed Patti buying that t-shirt at the Hard Rock Cafe in Miami. But what detectives didn't find, any evidence that the estimated $90,000 Patti pulled out of the bank ended up in the boyfriend's account.
We had a forensic accountant go through his accounts and no money was found. For what, a year and a half, he was taking this money from her. It might have been at the beginning where, you know what, he wanted to be with her. Then after time, he decided that he wanted to stay with his wife, and now what am I going to do? I've got all this money, am I going to pay her back, or am I going to get rid of her? That's the question that we have.
And Marcia claims Patti gave her secret boyfriend a hard deadline to pay up.
She had told him, you know, in July you have to start paying back part of this. You have to start putting back the money back in because she had taken some of it from her 401k. So she didn't want to get the penalty on that.
What could be the possible motive if money's involved?
If she began to seek to get the money back, it could lead to issues in his marriage, it could lead to other issues, and would provide a motive.
Investigators put Patti's lover on the polygraph and asked about their alleged relationship.
He did show deception in the polygraph.
Would you say he failed the polygraph?
I would tell you that he was deceptive in the polygraph.
And what's his story? What's his statement?
That he had no relationship with her whatsoever,
He barely knew her.
other than as an associate at Honda, another associate.
The boyfriend told cops he clocked out from the Honda plant at midnight and got home at 2:30 in the morning. He claims he and his rideshare buddy stopped at Burger King and were in line for 45 minutes.
We spoke to the manager at Burger King. He stated that $18 worth of business was done from midnight until 1:30 in the morning. He stated the longest that somebody would have had to wait in line was 10 to 15 minutes.
But both men said that story, right?
Both men gave that story of 45 minutes.
If he left work at midnight but didn't get home until 2:30 in the morning, what was he doing all that time?
That's a good question. So he would have had ample time to get rid of Patti.
But again, there is no hard evidence that ties the boyfriend to Patti's disappearance.
For me, I think just being able to find her, to have a proper service for her or whatever, would be the best, and also getting answers from him would help me the most, I think.
What do you need answered?
Just why? At this point, I think I would also ask how he was able to go so long. Like, it's withholding details.
So to help McKaylee answer those questions, I drove through the flat farmland of Ohio looking for the man investigators say is the person of interest. Because authorities won't publicly name him, neither will Crime Watch Daily. So this is the house where the person of interest lives, the person who we believe last saw Patti alive. We just saw him go into the garage, so I'm gonna knock and see what he has to say.
What's up?
Anna Garcia from Crime Watch Daily. We want to talk to you about Patti. What happened to
I
Patti?
was told not to discuss any of this. You need to talk to my lawyer.
But what can you tell us? You're the last...
I can't tell you nothing, I'm sorry.
But you're the last one to have seen her alive. Tried to get some answers. He really didn't say much more to us than he did to police or to the family of Patti. We called his lawyer for a comment, but he never got back to us. Remember, he's never been named a suspect, and he's never been charged in connection with Patti's disappearance. The fact that Patti has never been found and may never be found continues to weigh heavily on this close-knit family.
It's really easy to talk about the case and things like that, but when you want me to talk about my sister and McKaylee, that's hard. I'm so proud of her. But I feel for her because she doesn't have her mom here.
Not having a mother, anyone can imagine, it's not an easy process. I can only thank my family and the support system that I've had from being young to now, to being where I am now and helping me become successful or where I am at this point in my life. I have a box full of pictures that she took, whether it was when we were on vacation or like her childhood or my childhood, that I'll bust out that quite frequently to look through it.
It was hard for you to sit down and talk with us.
Yes. Just all of these unanswered questions, it makes it very difficult to find closure. My mom died at 29 years old. I'm 23 right now, and I can't imagine. I just know to not take life for granted.
You're just an amazing young woman.
Thank you.
I'm glad you handled this better than I did.
It's very hard.
To understand this case, we brought in former chief prosecutor and defense attorney Bob Bianchi to break this down. What's going to be the key for prosecutors to nail down the person of interest after all this time?
I think shows like this, Chris, a lot of times witnesses don't come forward because they believe somebody else will do it. Some are scared. If they can be properly motivated, that's one thing. The second thing is I would have that evidence, that blood evidence in particular, reevaluated. I would have a new set of eyes, because I've seen this happen a lot of times. You get pigeonholed, and sometimes you get too focused. So a new set of eyes looking at the case can come up with potentially a different theory of the case. Or a piece of evidence that was overlooked before. That's about it right now, because prosecuting a 15-year-old homicide without a body, tough business.
Patti's reported boyfriend was interviewed by police and denied even knowing her. What does that do to the case?
A good homicide detective and a good homicide prosecutor know one thing. Sometimes people lie to cover up something else, not necessarily the murder. I've seen it happen in cases that I've done where they try to cover up gambling debts or drug-related activity, or try to cover for their wives, not knowing that they were having an extramarital affair. So lying certainly puts me in the red in terms of I don't believe the person, but I have to wonder if there's another motive they're trying to cover up.
Even if there was probable cause to make an arrest, how difficult is this?
Okay, well, now you're going to get into the Bob Bianchi philosophy of prosecution. Exactly. And what I would always do with my staff, or even when I was a homicide prosecutor, is if I believe the person did it and I believe that I had probable cause and I didn't think I had really strong evidence, go to trial, at least give the jury an opportunity to view it.
Try to find some justice.
Try to find some justice. And even if it's a not guilty, then at least we fought the good fight.
Bob Bianchi, thank you as always for being here with us on this case. If you have any information on Patti Adkins' disappearance, you are urged to call the Union County Sheriff's Office at 1-937-645-4110.